Your phone buzzes. 4 easy payments. 0 interest. You tap confirm before you even finish reading the screen. It feels like nothing. It feels like winning a small game against the price tag. But what if the app in your pocket is running on the exact same engine that has trapped civilizations in debt for centuries? What if the words 0 interest are doing a lot of quiet work to hide something else? Pay later apps have become the default way an entire generation shops. Split it into 4. Pay this week, pay nothing today. The language is soft. The design is soft. The button is round and friendly and colored like candy. And underneath all of that softness sits a financial structure that Islamic scholars settled questions about more than 1,000 years ago. Here is the first sharp statement. Convenience is never neutral. Every time a system makes a transaction feel effortless, it is asking you to stop paying attention. And the moment you stop paying attention is the moment the fine print starts working against you. Think about the last time you used one of these apps. A jacket, a phone case, concert tickets. You split the cost into smaller pieces and each piece felt too small to matter. But add them up across a year, across every app, across every late fee that slipped through because a payment date moved by 1 day, and a different number appears. Bank for International Settlements researchers have already flagged this pattern globally. People underestimate buy now, pay later debt by a significant margin because it is fragmented across multiple apps and never shows up as a single number on a single statement. You probably have more than one of these apps installed right now. One for clothing, one for electronics, one built directly into your favorite checkout page, so seamless you barely register it as a separate loan. Each one feels small in isolation. Each one is designed to feel small in isolation. That is not an accident of bad design. It is the entire business model. A single visible debt invites scrutiny. 4 invisible debts spread across 4 apps invite none. And here is the uncomfortable part. The merchant selling you that jacket is not offering you a discount out of generosity. In most pay-later arrangements, the merchant pays the platform a fee for every transaction. A fee that gets quietly folded into the retail price before you ever see it. You are not getting a zero-cost loan. You are prepaying for a loan inside the price tag itself, then being told the loan part is free. The cost was simply moved upstream, to a place you never look. This is where the Islamic financial tradition becomes useful, not as a religious decoration, but as a precision tool. Islam has a word for the trap hiding inside many of these contracts. Riba. Riba is not just interest in the narrow modern sense. It is any guaranteed extra charge tied purely to the passage of time on a debt, with no real shared risk and no real productive exchange behind it. Pay later. Pay more if you are late and the lender takes 0 risk while you take all of it. That asymmetry is the actual definition of riba, decoded into plain business language. Risk without reward on one side, reward without risk on the other. The Quran addresses this directly, in a verse so famous that even non-Muslim economists quote it. Allah permits trade and forbids riba. 2 activities that can look almost identical on a balance sheet, separated by one essential difference. Trade involves genuine risk-sharing between 2 parties exchanging real value. Riba involves one party guaranteed a return regardless of outcome, simply for lending money across time. So why does a zero-interest installment plan even raise a question? Doesn't 0 mean 0? Not always. And this is where a second concept enters the picture. Gharar. Gharar means excessive hidden uncertainty, a kind of fog baked into a contract that hides who actually carries the risk. When a pay-later platform builds its real profit into a hidden merchant fee, a late penalty structure, or a price that was quietly marked up before you ever saw the 0% offer, the contract stops being transparent. You are told one number. The real economics are a different number, buried somewhere you cannot see. Mufti Muhammad Taqi Usmani, one of the most cited contemporary authorities on Islamic finance, has written extensively on exactly this danger. Structures can be technically interest-free on paper, while still violating the deeper principle behind the prohibition, because the harm of riba was never really about the word interest. It was about exploitation disguised as convenience. There is a related, less famous category worth knowing. Subhat, decode it plainly. Subhat means a doubtful matter, something not clearly forbidden and not clearly permitted, sitting in a gray zone that depends entirely on the details of how it was structured. A great deal of modern consumer finance lives exactly here. Not a clean violation, Not a clean permission. A gray zone that rewards you for asking better questions before you sign anything. The Prophet Muhammad is reported to have advised believers to leave what is doubtful for what is certain. A principle scholars have applied for centuries to exactly this kind of ambiguous modern contract. You do not need a fatwa for every checkout button. You need the habit of asking what is actually being hidden in the gray. Here is where the Sharia solution becomes genuinely practical, not theoretical. Islamic finance does allow deferred payment. It is not anti-credit. It is anti-deception. The permitted version is called Murabaha. Decoded immediately. Murabaha is a cost-plus sale. The financier buys the actual item, then resells it to you at a clearly disclosed markup, paid over time. The keyword is disclosed. You know the original cost. You know the exact markup. You know the exact final price on day one. And it never changes no matter when you pay, because the profit was earned through an actual sale of a real asset, not through renting out money and charging for the privilege of time itself. Compare that to a typical pay-later app. The markup is hidden inside the merchant's price. The penalty structure is hidden inside paragraph 14 of the terms and conditions. The 0% label is doing marketing work, not economic work. The global standard-setting body for this entire industry, AAOIFI, the Accounting and Auditing Organization for Islamic Financial Institutions, has built detailed frameworks specifically to police this line. Their Murabaha standards require full cost disclosure, a fixed agreed profit margin set before the contract begins, and a prohibition on any penalty that functions as disguised interest after a missed payment. That last point matters enormously. A late fee that simply covers actual administrative cost is permitted. A late fee designed to generate profit from your lateness slides straight back into Riba, just wearing a different name. These are not abstract accounting rules written for banks in distant cities. They are the closest thing the modern world has to a published rulebook for what fair, transparent deferred payment actually looks like, and any consumer app, Islamic or not, can be measured against the same standard. A contract either discloses its real cost upfront or it doesn't. A penalty either recovers actual cost or it manufactures profit from your mistake. Once you know the test, you can apply it to literally any financing product that crosses your screen. From a furniture store payment plan to a car loan to the app that just buzzed in your pocket. Why does any of this matter beyond the technical permissibility question? Why should it matter to your actual life? Because the Islamic tradition was never only protecting your money, it was protecting your peace. Barakah, the concept of blessing or true increase, is not measured in raw numbers on a screen. A purchase financed through hidden exploitation might cost you less in dollars today and more in stress tomorrow, when 4 separate apps each want their cut on the same week your rent is due. Imam al-Ghazali, writing centuries before a single smartphone existed, described wealth gained through deception as wealth that corrodes the soul of the person holding it, even while it appears to grow in their hand. He was not being poetic for its own sake. He was describing exactly the anxiety loop that fragmented, opaque debt produces today. So what does this look like in your actual financial life this month? Start by asking one question before you tap that round friendly button. Where is the real profit coming from in this transaction? If you cannot answer that question in one sentence, the contract has Gharar baked into it, and you deserve better information before you commit your future income to it. Second, look for transparency as the test, not the 0% label as the test. A fully disclosed installment plan, where you know the total cost on day one and that cost never moves, behaves like Murabaha, even if nobody in the marketing department ever uses that word. A plan where penalties multiply, where the real cost only reveals itself after a missed date. Behaves like Riba, even if the app calls itself interest-free. Third, treat every small purchase split into 4 payments as 4 real payments, not one fake one. Add them to your actual monthly number. The fog only works if you let the pieces stay scattered. Fourth, watch how the platform treats lateness. A genuine cost recovery fee, small and fixed, is one thing. A penalty that grows, compounds, or gets sold off to a collections agency the moment you miss a single date is a different thing entirely. And it tells you everything about whether the platform's real business model is selling jackets or selling debt. Ask yourself plainly, would this company still want my business if I always paid exactly on time, every single time? If the honest answer is no, the convenience was never the product. You were. Fifth, build a habit, not a single decision. One halal purchase does not undo a year of opaque ones, and one mistake does not erase a year of careful ones either. The goal is not perfection on day one. The goal is a default posture of asking before tapping every single time until the question becomes automatic. This is not a call to reject all credit. Islamic economics has never demanded that you pay cash for everything or live without financing. It demands that financing be honest. Risk shared, not hidden. Profit disclosed, not buried. Time itself never sold as a product on its own. The app on your phone will keep buzzing. The button will keep being round and friendly, but you are no longer the person who taps before reading. You now know what question to ask before the price tag disappears into 4 invisible pieces. And the piece you were looking for the whole time was never about spending less. It was about finally seeing clearly what you were agreeing to.